The Tarokka reading of Curse of Strahd is an important, unique, and exciting part of Curse of Strahd. An NPC named Madame Eva draws the cards that lead the players to items and an ally, and give more information and ways to defeat the titular vampire villain. The campaign intends for you to run it random, which can be risky. There's the risk that a very powerful item is obtained really early. An item that offers lore and background for the villain is found really late, or that some items end up in the same place. 2 or 3 of the items in Castle Ravenloft, for example, which isn't entirely an endgame dungeon, but is kind of like the last location they'll probably visit. For this reason, a lot of DMs stack the deck, which means they actually rig the reading and choose locations and cards that usher people to places maybe they want to take the players to. Which, is fine, and I understand why people do that, and it probably would result in a better campaign than doing it random, but it feels like a shame. Maybe I'm just a lover of chaos, but the random element of Curse of Strahd and the Tarokka reading is what really makes it special to me. So if doing it fully random and doing it stacked both have their pros and cons, what can you do instead? Greetings, fellow Mist Wanderers. My name is Steve Morgan, and this is DM of the Mist, covering all things Curse of Strahd and Ravenloft. Today I'm going to be talking to you about a product I've put out on DM's Guild for Curse of Strahd. It's a way of getting that beautiful balance, bridging that gap between having a random reading and stacking the deck entirely. It's what I call the 3-pile technique, or the 3-pile Tarokka technique. Full disclosure, I can't say I invented this. I didn't. I saw somebody else suggest it. I thought that was a great idea. And unfortunately can't find the source of whoever invented it. So whoever you are, kudos and thank you. You are a godsend. As far as I remember, that person just suggested the idea. They didn't go to the effort of saying, this is how you actually split the cards. The idea being that you have a small deck just for the tome, a small deck just for the sword, and a small deck just for the symbol. So you can semi-control where those items end up, which kind of leads to a better story and structure for the campaign, because it's likely they'll get the tome fairly early, or early to mid-game. They'll get the symbol mid-game, and they'll get the sword towards the late game. What I wanted to do, in addition to talking about it, is I wanted to do a demo. You'll see that later on in this video as well. So in the supplement, you'll find instructions for which cards to remove, first of all. So some cards are just trouble. Things like having the items in Castle Ravenloft, or having the items end up in either immediately in Sir Pool Encampment, where the reading is taking place, or at the crossroads, literally just as you leave. If they get the most powerful item of the 3 straight away, they'll probably be like level 3 at that point, then that's not good news necessarily. It's going to make the campaign quite easy for them, and unfortunately it might make it unsatisfying for them, and probably you as the DM as well. From there, once you've removed your cards, it gives guidance on how to split the 3 piles. Which cards do you put into the tome pile? Which cards do you put in the symbol pile? Which cards do you put in the sword pile, and why? And it's not just done randomly, ironically. There's thought and logic behind which cards are chosen and where they appear. If you're feeling a bit risky and you do want to include castle cards, I give suggestions on which cards to reintroduce that would be probably fairly easy, or easier for the players to get if they do end up getting a castle card, and potentially which of the piles to add those to. So one of them I think I put for the symbol and one of them for the sword, but obviously you can change it up however you like. Now I know what you're thinking. The great thing about rigging it is you have full control over where the players go. Let's say, for example, you really want to include Argon Vostholt. It's a great location with great NPCs, and there aren't a huge amount of hooks to there, or not obvious ones. There's quite a few, but they're not really obvious ones. So you do this draw, and you don't end up getting Argon Vostholt. Whereas if you had rigged the draw entirely, you would have included Argon Vostholt. What I've done, just to make things a little bit easier, is I've tried to grab as many hooks throughout the book as I can, and said, so if you say, do the draw and you don't get Argon Vostholt, but you really want to include Argon Vostholt, there's a small section there telling you all the hooks. Most of them are official, they're in the book. I've included a few that are either not official, but they're kind of implied, like, this person probably knows how to get to this location or about this location, so they could potentially point them as well. The idea being that you can do this, but if some places didn't come up, I've tried to make it easy for you to introduce those places in your campaign as well. So for example, when you look at like the Barovian lore section, and then there's also Valachian lore and Kresgite lore, where the people of Valachi and Kreska know some things. The Martikovs might know some things. Rudolf van Richten and Esmeralda likely know things, and so on and so on. So it kind of just breaks it down. I've tried to grab from every obvious and not so obvious places from the book, and you might look through it and go, oh, I didn't actually realise that person knew about that place. So hopefully it'll help you beyond doing this draw as well. In addition to having small tables throughout the resource, so there's a small table for which cards to remove, and then 3 small tables for which cards to put against which item. Just to make things easier, there's an appendix section that lists all 40 cards. So you've got the 10 swords cards, the 10 stars cards, 10 coins, 10 glyphs cards, all 40 of the low deck, common deck cards, and shows, you know, this one's Sunsword, this one's remove it, this one remove it, but you could add it back in if you decide to do that. This one's the tome, this one's the sword, this one's the symbol, this one remove it, and so on and so on and so on. So it just kind of helps you to sort of see, get a full picture of the situation. Okay, now we get to the demo part of the video. If you picked up the guide on DM's Guild and followed its steps, you will now have your 3 piles, which is the common deck. Instead of drawing the 3 items from the common deck, all 40 cards, you've removed some cards and we split them into 3 smaller piles. I've used dice to remind me which ones. That's for the tome, that's for the symbol, and that's for the sword. This pack here is just the high deck. I've just left this here for flavour, and I'll draw the cards, or I'll place the cards, but I won't actually draw them because this resource only concerns with the placement of the 3 items. So let's start by shuffling. That's the tome card ready, and I'll start placing them as it details in the book. So that's 1, put that maybe somewhere like there. Pack 2. This is for the symbol, I'm going to place that there. And pack 3 for the sword. This is a great opportunity as well to, with your best Madame Eva voice, say there's no tricks here. Only the cards will determine your fate. Let's put that one over there. Spread them out a bit more. Let's do something like that. And then for flavour, we'll just lay these cards down, but we're not actually going to draw them. For the Fated Ally, or Strahd's Enemy as it's officially called, and Strahd's Location in the Castle. So there you go, you've done your draw of 5 cards. Place them ready to draw. And I'm not going to go into too much detail with the clues. I'm not going to read out the clues. I'm going to just focus on this is this card and this is where it ends up. But you would then follow this pretty much just how it is in the book. So you've laid out the cards and then you read the tome card, flip it over, see the clue, and same with 2 and same 3 and so on and so on. So for the tome, we ended up with Tax Collector, which is a coins card. So this has ended up in Valachi. It's in the Vistani treasure wagon, and I believe that you get access to it if you do something great for the Vistani, such as rescuing Arabelle from Lake Zarovich. So that's a kind of early-ish, mid-game-ish cards. That's quite a good place for the tome. The guide, by the way, if you're watching this video without having seen the guide explains the sort of why these cards have been, these piles have been split the way they have, and the cards have been split the way they have, and goes into more detail about that and why, sort of story-wise, why we've chosen these cards for the tome, these cards for the symbol, and so on. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with having that as the tome, so Valachi. For the holy symbol, we ended up with Myrmidon, a swords card. It's in the werewolf den. That's mid-game-ish. I think if you look at the levels table in this book, it's, I can't remember off the top of my head. I mean, I could just flick to it, couldn't I? It's probably a couple of pages before. Werewolf den's level 7, 7th level. So that's a pretty good place for the symbol, I think. It's not too early in the game and it's not too late. And then for the 3rd card, for the Sunsword, we got Enchanter, which is a stars card, which is... Oh, it's literally there. I don't know why I overlooked that. It's Berez. Now, Berez, I would say, is kind of later game. As we all know, Berez and Babalisag can be pretty deadly. So if your players were thinking, oh, let's go to this swamp, and they're only like level 5 or 6, you could have the Martikovs, maybe other NPCs plead with them and say, no, it's way too dangerous, maybe go later. So you're trying to subtly say to your players, they may not be ready for it, so hopefully they pick up later. And then if they do go earlier than intended and manage to defeat her and get the Sunsword, I would say they've earned it. So, which is fair enough, really. Okay, and then you would do the 4th card and the 5th card as normal. I'm not going to do those. I am going to be cheeky though, and without reshuffling, I'm just going to take what the next card would have been to get an idea of, so let's clear these 3 out of the way. And just so you know, just to see how effective this is, let's just draw 3 more cards and see, we'll essentially do it twice and see what results we get this time. So there's that one from pile 1, that one from pile 2, and that one pile 3. And this time we end up with the tome in, we've got Trader, Coins card, 3 of, it's back there. So that's the Wizard of Wine's Winery. I think that's a great place because it's likely to be the place they go to after first arriving to Vallaki, so it's early-ish. So that's where they would pick up the tome. This is, of course, if they're able to figure out and decipher the clues. For the symbol, Healer, glyph card. That's in the Shrine of the White Sun in Kresk. That's mid-game-ish, I would say, Kresk. If you're kind of following, the sort of traditional path, so people arrive through into Village of Barovia, may or may not having done Death House, and then they go to Vallaki from there, maybe do the Wizard of Wine's Winery, and then a couple of other places. I'd like to do Kresk before they do many other places, or at least I would have thought so. And then the Sunsword, I'm really hoping this is an Amber Temple card. It's not the end of the world if it's not, but it'd be good to have one example where this is the Amber Temple. Hey! This treasure is inside the model of Castle Ravenloft in the Amber Temple. So that's a great spread as well. And Amber Temple is likely to be late game, like I mentioned with the earlier draw with Berez. It's likely that people are going to go there later on. You could have NPCs warn them that, it's potentially very dangerous. So they probably will hopefully heed that warning and advice and realise they should be going for that later on. So that was Wizard of the Wine's Winery, Kresk, Amber Temple. And what do we have for the first ones? Let me just bring them back over here. I think it was Vallaki. Myrmidon was, I thought it was Argynvost Holt, but it's not, is it? Werewolf Den. Some of these cards for the symbol are Argynvost Holt, which I think is a great spot for that, like having that in Vladimir's possession. And Enchanter was Berez. So yeah, as you can see, it's kind of, hopefully if you were to do this draw, you would think, that's actually, either of those is a pretty good spread of the cards, and sort of follows an order where they'd probably get the tome, and then the symbol, and then the Sunsword, and without getting the tome too late. So they got the lore on Strahd quite early, without getting the Sunsword too early, and therefore, things like the Vallaki Coffin Shop, become from having this really deadly, dangerous encounter to being, really easy. And and that's the idea, really. So you just do that, and hopefully it's a bit of a safer draw than just doing it random as the book suggests. But also, I know that rigging the deck is really popular, but it means you don't have to necessarily rig the deck. You've still got some element of the randomness as the module, the campaign intends as well, which I think it's the best of both worlds. But let me know what you think. Thank you. And that's it. If you do pick it up, it's less than $2 on DM's Guild if you're picking it up when there's not like a sale on, but if there's a sale on, it might be even cheaper than that. Pick it up, let me know what you've got, whether you use it for your campaign or you decide to just have a play around with it, and maybe you've already done Curse of Strahd, or you're running Curse of Strahd at the moment, you've already done the draw. Be keen to know what kind of draws people got, and if they think, that'd actually be quite a satisfying draw. Feel free to subscribe. I started this channel fairly recently, and I have done a few Curse of Strahd videos. I've done a few Ravenloft videos. That's for people thinking of running a Ravenloft campaign as a sequel to Curse of Strahd, and I have another DM's Guild product related to that. Subscribe to this channel and potentially have a look at my other DM's Guild stuff and see what you think. Thank you, Mr. Wanderers.